Sophia Negron from The Healthy Photographer, and today I am here with Davina Fear, who is a business coach for creative women, and she also created Familyness Photography and the popular Get to Know You questionnaire and co-creator of Love Affair workshops, and she's a mom, and I've known her for years and always love what she does. So welcome, Davina.
Thank you, Sophia.
Now, I know when we first met, when I first got to know you, you were a wedding photographer. And then you moved, and all of a sudden you created this family portrait photography business. And you had this website, The Little Yellow House, and you started talking about family and kids. And what was really great was the fact that you were talking about how you wanted to be with your kids again. And what I really like about your website and what you're doing is you're really trying to help women and photographers find balance between family and business. So could you just talk a little bit about how that came about and what you're doing?
Yes. When I was in Utah, I had a full-on wedding business. It was really successful. It had grown to something really amazing. I loved it. But then we had lived in Utah for quite a while. And all growing up, I moved all the time. So by the time I was 20, I had lived in like 20 different houses. And, so I was getting a little antsy there. And my husband got an opportunity for a job in South Carolina. I'm like, take it, let's go. I'm ready. And so we moved out here, and it just happened to coincide with me realizing that the wedding business I had created wasn't quite meshing with my family. And so when we moved, my youngest daughter was going to be going to kindergarten in a year.
Okay.
But when we moved here, we found out that kindergarten was all day, which I was not ready for. I was thinking it was going to be half day. And so I kind of felt like I was having a whole year like stripped away from me. And it's like, no, I'm not ready to have all my kids in school full time yet. And that's when I realized too that, oh my gosh, with weddings, it had worked so well when my kids were young because my kids were at home all day, and then I would go do engagement shoots at night, and I'd do weddings on weekends, but I had spent the entire week with them.
Right.
And so going in the evenings and weekends was not a big deal. But then when all my kids were in school, I'm like, hold on a second. Now, when I'm home, they're gone. And when they're home, I'm gone. I'm not crazy about that. Mm-hmm. And so I decided that weddings were not where I wanted to be putting my focus anymore. And when I first moved here, I took a sabbatical because of that year that I was thinking, oh my goodness, I'm going to totally miss all this time with my daughter when she goes to school. And so I just decided that I would have a sabbatical and I would spend all that time with her and kind of be able to recoup what was about to happen the next year. Once I decided to get started, I started into family photography, and I did a lot of things to try and get that business going. And it wasn't completely taking off. I was a little disappointed because I built a business before. What the heck? I know how to do this. What's up with this? And I was pretty disappointed that it wasn't as easy as I thought it was going to be. And when I moved, of course, I had built a name for myself in Utah and across the country because I had spoken and done a lot of things nationally. And so I was just thinking, I wasn't thinking, oh, it's going to be easy as pie. I knew I'd have to work, but I didn't think it was going to be as hard as it was to build something in a new place. And at that point, I decided, okay, maybe I just need like a new website and some new like refreshing so people know better what I'm doing. And so I started working with a website designer, Sarah Bray, and she talked to me about, well, what do you really want to do? And I said, well, when I was in college, I was studying to be a marriage and family therapist. And so I would love to bring in some more family stuff into what I'm doing, and especially helping families in addition to photographing them. So I created A Year at the Yellow House and familyness, made up the word, made up the whole thing. And I decided that familyness is family plus happiness equals familyness.
Yeah.
But the thing that I really felt like was happening with families is that we're all looking sideways. We're all looking at like what someone else is doing and comparing ourselves. And is my family as cool as theirs, or is she's such a better mom than me? And why are my kids freaking out? Why does that mom's kids look like they're perfect? And we start looking at all of that. And I wanted to be able to help people see that the familyness they have created is awesome.
Right.
It's really just a matter of seeing the cool stuff that you're doing. So I started sharing the things that I was doing and also encouraging people to really look at their own familyness and see what they were doing that was awesome in their own family.
Right.
And I started talking about connecting points, which I think is a really key point for families to realize, is that they have their own connecting points. And that's the part that's important. And everybody's connecting points might be a little bit different, but just becoming aware that you have them. With my family, I've built in, and I think it's a key also for moms to not feel guilty about the time, especially moms who are working, or even moms who are homeschool moms or whatever. I think it's a really big key, because if you realize the ways that you've built connecting points into your own life, then you can give yourself a break, realizing, okay, I might not be doing what she's doing, but I'm doing what I'm doing, and it's making a difference.
Right.
So for the connecting points that I do in my family and with my kids is that in the morning times I wake them up, not because they can't wake up by an alarm clock, but because by me waking them up, then I get to give them a hug in the morning, say hello, stuff like that. And even though they're older, I still do that. And then in the morning, I'm up with them, and I don't make their lunches because I make them make their lunches because I don't make them. But maybe some other
trying.
To make those bento boxes, and that's her connecting point with her kids. That is not my connecting point with my kids. But I do put a note in my kids' lunch every day. Every morning while they're getting ready, I'll write them a little note, because I feel like that's another connecting point for me to make with them during the day, even though I'm not with them.
Right.
And I always try to have a little prayer with them before they run out the door in the morning. When they get home from school, I try to be done, or at least pause what I'm doing when they walk in the door, hug them, ask them about their day. I have another connecting point that is at dinner time. We try to have dinner together. That doesn't always happen, but I love dinner time as a connecting point. And then bedtime as a connecting point, even with my teenage son. Who is about to graduate. We gather together, everybody that's home, and have these questions that I ask my kids every night, and that are in this really cool book, which I wish I could remember the name of it, but I bought it at Anthropology, and it's like a 365-day thing.
Okay.
Anyway, it's awesome.
We'll have to find it.
It's really cool. And there's 3 years of questions. They're the same question every year, but you ask them, and then you get to see the way they change their answer every year. It's really fun.
Yeah.
The kids love to read back and see what they said 2 years ago. So we're in our 3rd year right now. And so I have all those connecting points in my day.
Right.
And I have a couple of other ones too. But the thing about them is that not every connecting point happens every day, because life happens, crazy stuff happens. But if I'm hitting 2 or 3 of those in a day, hey, I am doing a good job. I'm being a good mom. I'm connecting with each of my kids. And that's what really matters.
Right.
That daily connecting, keeping those daily connecting commitments to yourself totally increases your own self-esteem, value, worth, whatever, that you're keeping those commitments to yourself and to your kids. Totally makes such a big difference. Even if you're not doing all of them, having them kind of built into your life makes such a big difference. And so many moms already do this. Right. They just don't realize it. So just becoming aware that as a mom, you're already doing these amazing things, and then just being deliberate about them. Yeah. Realizing, oh, I did 2 of my 6 connecting points today. Woo! I'm a good mom. I'm keeping my commitments. I'm connecting with my kids. And a lot of times kids just want to know that you're there for them. And if you have those connecting points built in where they can know that you're going to be there for them, or they can
Mm-hmm.
talk to you at night. I spend a few minutes with my kids. I lay down with them in bed every night and just kind of have a little chat with them. And so that's their time. They know every day they're going to have a chance to like say something to me if they need to or want to or
Right.
whatever. So, and so those are some of the things that drew me to creating Familyness and helping other families realize they've got a lot of good stuff going on,
Yeah.
that we
And
don't
that
need to keep looking sideways.
right. And I loved what you had said in your on your website about the fact that, people are doing these things every day, and you just said that, and they don't realize. It reminds me of this quote that I actually used in for yoga a few weeks ago. You're running from room to room looking for the diamond necklace that's already around your neck. And just you talking about those connecting points, I was like, oh yeah, we do. Yeah, we do those morning routines, and we do eat dinner together, because I mean, a lot of times I'm really busy, and we both have our own business, so we're both running around, and then my daughter is in school and she's got dance class and voice class, and there's times where I'm just like, I'm busy, leave me alone. And I'm like, I'm such a horrible person. But, to remember that, oh, okay, we did do morning, I did do this and that. So, you
I
know,
think too, realizing that for those of you who are married or have partners or whatever, realizing that your partner also has built-in connecting points that maybe you're not paying attention to.
yes.
And being able to see that your partner or your spouse totally has those connecting points and being able to acknowledge those, because
Mm-hmm.
they're going to connect with your kids and with you in different ways than you're doing. And so
Right.
being able to see that that's the way they connect and that they are doing a really good job, it helps a lot in looking like, oh my gosh, that dad or that husband is doing way better than mine.
Right.
Being able to realize that yours is totally doing cool stuff.
Yeah.
And your kids the same.
Yeah.
It's so tempting to look, to the right and to the left and see what everyone else is doing and
Yes.
judge our life compared to that, and being able to really see the connecting points your kids make with you, the ones that your spouse makes, the ones that you make, and how those all come together is totally your familyness.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's the biggest thing, is really stop looking, stop comparing, which is really hard, but,
Yes.
try not to compare and really look at what you are doing and appreciate that. I mean, that's a big thing in my life right now, is really just trying to appreciate everything that is happening, even if it's not everything I think I want to have happen. Um, a big thing with me with trying to build the healthy photographer, or, building my own yoga practice, I have to acknowledge that, okay, 3 people came to class today. Yes, 10 people RSVP'd, and I was really hoping for those 10 people, but 3 people came, and I have to appreciate that those 3 people came, and give them, you know, everything that I was going to give them, whether it was 10 people or 3 people,
Yeah. Totally being
so
okay with where you're at. That's huge.
yeah.
'Cause we all want to look at where we're not and wish for where we want to be. When if we can just start from where we're at and be good with that,
Yes.
and know that, then you have a place to start from.
Yeah, yeah. And I know I think it showed up on Facebook, and I was coveting your fort. You were like doing homework in the fort. I was like, "Oh my god, that is so cool."
Yeah.
How did you
We
build
do
a
love
fort?
the forts around here.
How did that fort get built?
Oh my gosh, it takes a village. No. It takes some adults. It does take some adults. We in the past we've totally used just like furniture and tied rope around furniture and tied rope around different things, and then we've used like push pins in the
Aw.
walls and all that kind of stuff. And then the last one we built, kept falling. But we would just kind of be like, oh, put it back up. And then we were like, okay, next time we build a fort, we have got to come up with a way where we're not attaching it to the hinges of doors that when we open the door, the thing falls down.
Right.
So my husband said, hey, what if we use eye hooks? And at first I was like, oh, eye hooks like mess up our wall? What? And he was like, oh, just some spackle and paint would fix it if we decided we didn't want them in there anymore. I'm like, okay. So we like put actual eye hooks in our walls, and we just strung cotton clothesline rope through all of them and across, and hung the blankets on them, and it has not fallen once. It's awesome.
That is great. That is awesome. I mean, sometimes my daughter will build forts, and like I'll come in her room and I'll see her walking from the closet to her room, and we have this tiny New York apartment, with the umbrellas. She's walking with the umbrellas, and I go in and she has put all the umbrellas up, and then she's draped blankets around the umbrellas.
Oh, that's a good idea. That's a great fort. I love it. Very creative.
She climbs inside, and I mean, none of us can fit in there, but she can.
That's awesome. That's a really good idea for a fort.
So it's pretty funny. So that's your familyness and how you kind of discovered where you wanted to kind of move your business. And I noticed that lately you mentioned something about working with some coaches and then expanding that business to coaching other photographers, coaching other creative women. Tell me a little bit about that coaching and what you're hoping these people will accomplish.
I'm still doing my family photography. In fact, I'm going out to Northern California and doing the session. I have some sessions booked out there, and
oh, good.
I'm still have some open if anyone wants one. But I'm doing that, and I actually, when I started doing the whole family photography thing, then I was hired to go do a day in the life session in England.
Nice.
And I had been wanting to do day in the life sessions for a long time, and I had kind of done some, but hadn't really had people get on board with them. Right. And then when I went out to England and did this day in the life session, I was like, oh my gosh, if I am going to keep doing family photography, this is what I want to do. It was just so powerful to be able to photograph these families in their actual life.
Yes.
And see their interactions with each other, see those connections that they make every day. And as I photographed families that way, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is what you build your life on, that you want to remember, but it's not what anyone's photographing. People are getting dressed up and having like stylized sessions, and even some of the lifestyle sessions, everybody's still getting dressed up and looking great and then going out for a great session, and it's not really capturing who they are or what their interactions are like every day, or what your everyday life is like, that in 15, even like next year, your life is going to be completely different. Your child is going to have grown. They're going to interact with you different. I mean, there's so much change that happens that I was like, oh my gosh, this once a year at least, capturing your life, what it's like in real time, the way everyone interacts, the whole mannerisms that people have, and all of that is just so amazing. And I mean, when we think about someone who's passed away, those are the types of things that we remember: the hugs, the closeness, the way they said something, their mannerisms, their whatever. That's the stuff you want to remember, but that's not the stuff that's getting photographed.
Right.
And so I totally loved this when I did that. And so now those sessions are what really get me excited.
Yeah.
So I've been doing those. And then as I have been trying to build that part of my business, I hired a coach a while ago. And I have mentored a lot in my career to other photographers, and they come to my studio. I show them all my systems. I show them how I shoot, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And when I started coaching with someone who was, I've never even, before I coached with this coach, I had never even heard of coaches within the photography industry. Right. I've heard of fitness coaches and all that, but a coach in the industry, we always talk about mentoring, and my experience is that's the way people do it, that you go see what they do, you kind of match what they do or copy what they do, and then you kind of go do your own thing.
Yeah.
Or whatever. You take it back to your place and you do what they do. But when I was coaching with this person, I was like, oh my gosh, this is what the photography industry needs.
Mm-hmm.
We need empowerment in our own businesses, not copying what other people are doing. We totally need major mindset changes because we have so much slack thinking in our industry.
Yes.
About like, that you can't make any money January to March. It's just totally like terrible. And people just aren't willing to book what you do. And I mean, we just have all these like negative things we say in our industry, and we all help each other perpetuate them because then that makes us feel better.
Right.
And I totally was in that until I started working with this coach. I'm like, oh my gosh, this type of thing, this type of coaching, someone who is there to hold you accountable and walk you through for months at a time and really invest themselves in your business. That is what we need in our industry. Yes. Not these one-day mentoring things where you go watch what they do and copy or whatever.
Right.
And so that's what really got me into coaching, because I really love that opportunity to be that invested in someone's business, see them grow. I mean, I've seen my clients go from doing this one thing in their business that they thought was the thing they were supposed to be doing, but couldn't even see these other possibilities. And when they stepped into these other possibilities, they made $30,000 in like a couple of days. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And then another client that booked with me, once she just tweaked a couple of little things in her business, she made, within 2 weeks of working with me, she made $20,000. I mean, it was so cool. And then to be able to see not just like quick changes like that, but working with someone over time and seeing how their mind starts becoming a more abundant thinking, and how they have these breakthroughs on phone calls that I'm just like, oh my gosh, that was so amazing. And they start feeling like this different kind of business person who is empowered and who's making these choices based on who they are and what they want and their dreams and goals, and not on who this person is pricing and if that person's my competition and oh my gosh, another person is doing exactly what I'm doing. It's not about that anymore. It's so cool. I love it.
Yeah. And I mean, I think for a long time I felt like the photography industry with marketing and branding was ahead, because now I do see, like, I've gone to some of these event planner things, and now they're starting to talk about, your brand is you. And, a lot of the things that we used to teach photographers years ago, but now I do feel like there needs to be that shift of, yes, it's great to kind of learn what that person is doing, but, you are different. And we need to kind of realize what our strengths are, and how we can create what's going to work for our life, our family, like you had done with, realizing that, hey, this wedding isn't working the way I want it to because now I'm missing out. And I see so many, photographers that just keep going and going and going and doing, and there's a high rate of divorce in photography families, and you see all this stuff going on, and it doesn't necessarily have to be that way. And by finding someone like you, or kind of discovering that, hey, I can do this a different way. I don't have to do it the way everybody's been doing it, and it doesn't have to be the way everyone keeps saying. I think that's really important for people to realize. It just goes back to shifting that mindset, appreciating what you have, and realizing that who you are is okay, and people want who you are.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there is that shift that like is taking our industry to another level. We totally have it nailed visually.
Yes.
I mean, for photographers, we want everything to look great, of course. And so we are ahead of the curve on that. I mean, there are so many other industries that I'm like, oh my gosh, you need a photographer, a graphic designer, you need some help type of thing. But the other piece that we're missing is totally that part of really being able to change our mindset around the amount of lack that we talk about in our industry.
Yeah.
And being able to really make a difference there in our own businesses so that it can affect the industry in a really positive way.
Right.
So we've gotten so in the habit, because I think a lot because we are visual, we look at what everyone else is doing and
Yes.
compare it to ours. And we want everything to look at least as good as that person. And I mean, everything is so about how everything looks in our industry,
Yes.
which is a strength and a weakness. Just like, I mean, that's the like law of polarity that, we have this piece in our industry, but we also have this other side.
Right. Yeah.
that can be our downfall, or we can use it to our benefit.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah, going back to kind of that thing. I mean, I know I actually sat down with a friend of mine yesterday, or a friend of ours yesterday, because we were kind of, because I'm shifting my focus and my business and kind of trying to figure out how that's going to look and what that's going to look like. And, a few of my friends are like, you're doing this. You're doing this. You're like, I don't want it, but give it to me anyway. and and it was really like she had said to me, like, let's do this, do this, and this will kind of control everything. And you're kind of all over the place because you are afraid to let things that were working for you that aren't working anymore, you're afraid to let them go. And I think that photographers in general really need to take that time to sit down and really look and say, okay, we've been doing this. This is working, this isn't working, and it's okay that it's not working, and we're going to do something else. Because I feel like that is definitely something we all, it was, oh, the new kids with digital, and now they're giving the digital files away, and, they're afraid to change. But I think if we kind of say, oh, okay, this is doing this, and that's doing that, but this is how I want to be, and this is who I am, and those clients will come to you for what you are offering. So
Absolutely. We are very conditioned to look at what's going on outside of us as what the problem is, when really it's inside of us. Like you were saying, that you are the one that was doing this. Yeah, come on, and that totally comes across to people. And so who we are being, who we are, our own stuff is what matters, not anything anyone else is doing. It's all about us,
right?
In how successful we are. But we like to put it off on other people, like, oh, if those newbies would just stop, I could be successful. It totally gives us like this weird permission that we don't have to do what we need to do,
right?
Or we don't have to be who we need to be to do what we need to do. And so that's a really big part of what happens in coaching, is people start realizing, oh, that's who I need to be. I need to be this person that I really am, and own that, and take responsibility for all these things that will make me more successful. And it won't even ever matter what anyone else is doing ever.
Right.
So that's such a relief to know that, oh my gosh, any outside influences will not have to affect whether or not I'm successful. It can just be one person that I have to worry about.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And there was something, I remember I was looking through your website, and I wish I could remember, I had written some stuff down. And you did talk about why people get stuck. But what are some things that, as photographers and creative business people, to kind of shift that mindset, what are some things that they can do or keep in mind that will help them, make a shift?
There are lots of things that you can make a shift to inside yourself.
Yeah.
Some exercises that you can do and things like that. But some big things are to really practice your own mindset. Really practice keeping yourself in a good place in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
And a couple of the ways that you can do that is really cultivating a sense of gratitude for anything that is going well in your business, anybody who's helped you, writing thank you notes. I've many times talked about how writing a thank you note to the future, even, being able to sit down, and if things aren't going well and you're feeling kind of stressed out, sitting down and writing, I'm so grateful everything has worked out. Everything I ever needed came to me in unexpected ways and some expected ways. I got the clients that just really writing down what you want to be able to feel and say, a month from now, when you've actually achieved these goals, or when you've actually gotten the clients that you want, or whatever. Go ahead and write that now. And that puts you in a place of gratitude now so that you can open your mind to possibility.
Right.
A lot of the reason that we're stuck is because we can't see anything because we're just thinking about all the stuff that's going wrong. And once you start thinking about the stuff that's going wrong, how everything's not working for you, you completely shut off all your creativity.
Yes.
You shut off all ideas for possibility, and then you have nothing. You just start spiraling downwards in your thoughts, down the rabbit hole of nothing is going my way. But if you can shift that thinking into something that feels a lot more grateful, and it puts you in a more abundant place, realizing, oh my gosh, and also seeing in your past the way things have worked out for you.
Yeah.
That you have done really great things in the past, and things did come into your life that you weren't expecting. And that awesome client came once you did this one thing where you let go of the guilt or the frustration or the stuckness. You just suddenly got this person in your life, and realizing that, okay, me changing me and the energy that I have running around in my head and my body about this whole thing, then you can actually allow great energy to come in, great ideas. And so that's one of the big things, is getting in a place of gratitude, because that connects you with your power and with God and with the higher source, whatever you believe in. Yeah, getting in a place of gratitude connects you back with that power place. And so that's a really big thing, I think, that can get people unstuck. And two other things. One is keeping your commitments. Anytime we stop keeping our commitments, we start feeling terrible about ourselves.
Yes.
And that just goes in bad places. So really taking a look at where you're keeping your commitments and where you're not. And if you're not keeping your commitments, deciding, do I want to keep these commitments, and being really deliberate about, am I keeping this or am I not? And if you don't want to keep them anymore, making a really solid decision, I'm not doing this anymore, and I'm not doing it for this reason. And I'm going to stop doing it. I'm going to talk to somebody and say, I'm not keeping that commitment anymore. I want to negotiate. I want to do whatever.
Yeah.
Get those commitments out of your life that you don't want to keep anymore, and keep the ones that you're going to keep committing to.
Right.
Because that kind of commitment gives you more confidence in yourself and in what you're creating, and all of that kind of stuff if you're keeping your commitments. The last thing is, I totally remember. There it is. It came back. I knew it would.
Yes.
Okay. Action cures fear. A lot of the time when you are totally getting caught up in your crazy thoughts, it's because you're sitting around thinking crazy thoughts.
Yes.
And what you need to do is get off your butt and start doing something.
Yes.
And so whether it's making a phone call to somebody, making a sales call, creating what you need to create, doing something that makes your business grow. Because as photographers, we love to get sidetracked on the little stuff that doesn't make our business grow, like creating an awesome price PDF. That sounds so fun. You just get to get in there and do all this creative stuff, when really the truth is you need to make a couple of phone calls, contact a couple of people about booking you, so that you're making money, because that step, when you're feeling like you're keeping your commitments to grow your business, to bring money into your business, that is what gives you confidence, is keeping those type of commitments to yourself, that you're going to grow your business, you're going to have clients, etc.
Yeah.
When you decide, making sales is kind of scary, I'm just going to kind of go over here and do this process because that kind of really needs to be done, and so then it's funner. And so, but being able to do things that you're a little scared of, but will totally cure that fear if you take the steps to make them happen and do the things that will grow your business. And doing the things that will grow your business during the hours when you can do them.
Yes.
Like, you can do website stuff in the middle of the night if you need to.
Right.
But you cannot make phone calls to someone who is in your time zone at 1 a.m.
Right.
So you got to be doing stuff that will bring the money into your business in the hours when you can do it, and then schedule the other stuff in hours that you can't. Anyway, I could keep going on. There's so many ways that you can totally make that happen, but so much of it has to do with what's going on inside of you.
Yeah.
And really being aware of it and taking action on those things.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you so much. Because I mean, I think that those three things are so important. And I know I've actually been really trying to focus on doing those three things with my own photo business and building this other business, whatever that's going to look like. So, I know that those things are really what kind of keeps me moving forward.
Awesome.
Yeah, so those were great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me today. It's been really fun chatting.
Yeah. Thank you, Davina, for today. That was really great information. And I am Sophia Negron with The Healthy Photographer. And thank you to Davina Fear. Please let us know how we can get in touch with you.
You can reach me at davina@davinafear.com,
Okay.
and I have my website, davinafear.com. I'm pretty active on Facebook, so you can always private message me. I am pretty available, and if you're really wanting to know more about coaching, then you can set up a business owner checkup with me, and we can see what you're doing and what you can be fixing, and if working with me would be a great fit for you. So.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much. And anyone that has a family that wants to get photographed, I know she's going to Northern California, so make sure you reach out for that as well. So thank you. I really appreciate this. And I am Sophia Negron from The Healthy Photographer. Bye. Oh, this will get cut out.